Ukrainian drones erase Russian sniper team in precision $2 million rooftop strike. In a single early morning operation, Ukrainian drones turned what appeared to be a quiet rooftop into the center of a rapid and calculated assault that eliminated an elite Russian sniper unit before they could take their first shot. For 3 days, the snipers believed they were hidden, protected by shadows, rooftop debris, and disciplined movement, but Ukrainian surveillance never lost sight of them. What followed was a synchronized sequence of drone strikes so precise that the entire team was neutralized within minutes, inflicting an assessed $2 million in Russian losses. To understand how the rooftop became a trap, the story returns to where it began today. Today at 5:12 a.m., a Ukrainian surveillance drone recorded the beginning of what would become a clean and decisive rooftop operation that eliminated a trained Russian sniper group and inflicted an estimated $2 million in losses to Russian special purpose personnel, optics, thermal systems, and long-range rifles. The mission unfolded in the final minutes before sunrise, when the urban skyline was still covered by a cold haze and the city streets below remained empty. The rooftop looked abandoned from ground level, but Ukrainian analysts had already assessed it as one of the most persistent threats to nearby Ukrainian infantry positions. This sniper unit had operated from the same vantage point for 3 consecutive days, striking with precision and then disappearing before nightfall. Their confidence in the rooftop and in their concealment would shape every decision they made this morning and ultimately ensure their defeat. By 5:15 a.m., the Russian sniper team had taken their positions. Their rifles, long-range precision models equipped with advanced optics, rested on stabilized bipods. Their spotter scanned distant streets using a thermal scope designed to detect small variations in heat. A third team member monitored communications equipment, relaying distances and coordinates to a rear commander. To anyone passing through the street below, the building remained just another damaged structure with a collapsed stairwell and broken concrete railings. The snipers had spent days studying how to work in shadow, how to avoid reflections, and how to mask their silhouettes against the skyline. They believed their preparations would keep them invisible. But overhead, a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone hovered silently at medium altitude, watching. For 72 hours, the drone network had mapped the team's arrival times, departure times, firing arcs, and favored hiding positions. Analysts noted how the snipers consistently placed themselves near a rusted ventilation shaft, and how they hid under improvised camouflage nets. They noted how the spotter rotated his optical device in narrow, disciplined increments to avoid giving away their location. In earlier years, this level of rooftop discipline might have been enough, but the war had changed. Patience, persistence, and aerial observation dictate outcomes. By 5:19 a.m., the 4th consecutive day of observation delivered the final confirmation. The sniper rifles were set. Their scopes briefly glinted as the rising sun reflected across the lenses. The spotter leaned forward. The commander whispered coordinates. The team was preparing its first shot of the day, believing they had identified Ukrainian movement in a district below. That initial moment, when the rifles aligned, when the bodies tensed, when the focus sharpened, was what the Ukrainian operators had waited for. At 5:20 a.m., an FPV drone launched from a concealed Ukrainian position several kilometers away. The drone rose quietly above the treetops, then accelerated between apartment blocks. The operator maintained a low altitude, using the uneven rooftops, antennas, and broken parapets as natural concealment. Above it, the Overwatch drone marked the sniper positions in real time, ensuring that the FPV operator had precise situational awareness during the long urban approach. The FPV drone advanced like a controlled bullet, slipping between building edges and climbing only when necessary. By 5:22 a.m., the sniper team remained unaware of the threat closing in. The spotter continued scanning the horizon. One sniper adjusted his bipod, steadying his breathing. The communications soldier moved closer to the railing, radio pressed to his ear. No one looked skyward, and no one expected a silent machine to be threading through the city directly toward them. The drone reached the last building before the target rooftop. The operator paused, hovering behind a taller structure to mask the sound. Using shadow on the building's edge, he maneuvered the small aircraft upward until the sniper team came into full view. 3 figures, their weapons, their posture, their spacing, their cover. Every detail was captured and mapped within seconds. At 5:23 a.m., the drone drifted forward, rising just above the rooftop lip. At first, the snipers didn't react. The early morning wind covered the faint hum of the propellers. Then, one sniper lifted his head. The spotter turned sharply. The radio operator shouted a warning. The drone accelerated into the attack. The impact detonated on the rooftop surface, sending debris into the air. The Russian team reacted instantly, rolling to the side, scrambling to new positions. The spotter grabbed his radio and shouted for supporting units. But the Ukrainian approach had not relied on a single strike. The approach did not rely on a single strike. At 5:24 a.m., this second drone rose above a neighboring structure and angled sharply toward the exposed position. The Russian team attempted to conceal itself behind a broken wall. One crawled toward the stairwell entrance. Another tried to reposition his rifle. Their movements were professional and efficient, but the drone was faster. It dove at a shallow angle. The blast cracked the wall behind them, forcing them out of cover and into the open. Dust rolled across the roof. The team attempted to sprint towards sandbags piled near the opposite edge. They coordinated hand signals. They attempted to regain their original vantage point. But by 5:25 a.m., a third FPV drone approached at high speed, rising from street level before banking toward the rooftop. The drone hovered briefly, adjusting its final angle. The sniper team dove behind a ventilation shaft, but the blast engulfed the area, sending another wave of debris into the air. Above them, the Overwatch drone recorded every movement. The analysts watched the sniper team runnings, crawling, diving, and trying to adapt their tactics to an enemy they could not see until the final second. Their rifles offered no utility against overhead vectors. Their sightlines had collapsed. Their training had not conditioned them for a multi-directional aerial assault from unmanned platforms that ignored cover, angles, and predictable lines of attack. By 5:27 a.m., the rooftop fell silent. Dust settled across shattered concrete. The Russian sniper group was neutralized. Their rifles, optics, and gear lay scattered across the rooftop. The ventilation shaft rattled from the concussion waves. The abandoned building, once a reliable firing position, was exposed as a liability. But the mission did not end there. By 5:31 a.m., the Overwatch drone resumed scanning nearby rooftops. The operators wanted confirmation that no reserve sniper elements were hiding in adjacent structures. The drone moved block by block, analyzing heat signatures and rifle shapes. At 5:34 a.m., a faint thermal signature appeared several rooftops away. A second sniper, previously undetected, was concealed under a tarp beside another ventilation pipe. He had been observing the earlier engagements, likely prepared to support or relay targeting information. An FPV drone shifted course immediately, arcing wide around a line of taller buildings before approaching from behind. At 5:36 a.m., the drone rose above the building edge. The hidden sniper turned abruptly, startled. The drone surged forward. The blast shook the rooftop, scattering debris and eliminating the last threat in the cluster. Operators declared the surrounding sector clear. By 6 a.m., Ukrainian analysts reviewed every second of the mission. They studied how the snipers positioned themselves. They studied how shadows created false cover. They analyzed the rooftop geometry, the FPV approach angles, the Overwatch trajectories, and the synchronized timing between reconnaissance and strike elements. The conclusion was straightforward. The sniper threat had been eliminated with full success. No Russian marksman returned to that district again. The total loss to Russia, factoring destroyed rifles, optics, thermal devices, communications equipment, and personnel, was assessed at approximately $2 million, a figure that underscored not only the tactical outcome, but also the economic attrition Ukraine continued to impose on Russian special purpose units through affordable, coordinated drone strikes. By 11:15 a.m., Ukrainian units secured the area, confirming no further rooftop threats remained. The operation demonstrated a broader trend visible across the front. Concealment was no longer guaranteed by darkness, shadow, or height. Rooftops, once considered safe havens for snipers, had become open arenas, where unmanned systems dictated the tempo of engagement. Today's mission reinforced a reality of modern combat. The battlefield is no longer two-dimensional. The enemy no longer approaches only from ground level. The sky itself has become the decisive layer, and in that layer, silence is a weapon, patience is a tactic, precision is a force multiplier. By the time the footage was archived, the assessment was final. Ukraine had neutralized a specialized Russian sniper group, secured a critical vantage point, and inflicted an estimated $2 million in losses through a coordinated multi-drone operation. Russia lost its marksmen, it lost its equipment, it lost the high ground it depended on. Ukraine kept the initiative, and as drone warfare continues to evolve, one question remains: how many more traditional battlefield roles will be overtaken by the eye in the sky? Thanks for watching, share your thoughts below.